とにかくこの部屋は警察が来るまでこのままにして施錠します。
Hello everybody and welcome back to more Umineko. Here we are. Last episode, Hideyoshi and Ava were killed in another weird room with some weird blood symbol stuff on the door. We're not quite sure that's all about, but yeah, it's pretty nuts. Let's continue.
いいですね。
Natsuki announced it as though she didn't care whether they agreed or not. What was happening? She's got the gun, so do what the person with the gun says. No one had a right to object. It would have been George, but he looked as though he'd shed enough tears. George nodded slightly, still facing away from the others. When he stood up, everyone else agreed too. Dropping like flies, won't be many of us left. That's when we started to open up that western envelope with a family head that she'd picked up. Now that they decided to leave this room, she decided to unseal it in the parlor where everyone could watch. What does it? As they walked down to the hallway to head back to the parlor, some of them immediately felt something out of place. Maybe sensed something strange.
答えよ。マリアもわかるか。こりゃ何の匂いだよ。ひでえ匂いだぜ。
Everyone sniffed the air. They did notice a horrible burnt smell drifting through the hallway, one that none of them had smelled until then.
私、ちょっと厨房を見てきます。
Burning the chicken
火は
again?
ちゃんと消したはずなんですよ。
After noticing a burnt smell, it was natural that Kumasawa, who had just been using the burner in the kitchen, suspected that her own slip-up had caused it. Kumasawa hastily dashed away.
熊沢と行きなさい。一人にさせないように。
Right.
はい。
After nodding at Genji's orders, Kanon followed after her. He wasn't running, but as he followed her, he tried to search for the cause of the smell in other directions as well.
臭い。
これは確かに鼻が曲がりそうな匂いですね。しかし換気のために窓を開けてもいいものか。
With like a typhoon outside, that's why he was reluctant to open the windows in a situation where self-defense was so important.
換気扇を回させましょう。窓を開ける必要はないと思います。
ジョージの兄貴、話しかけても大丈夫かよ。犯人を探す相談なら構わないよ。
And that George had managed to climb out of the abyss of sorrow. All that filled his chest now was a quiet flame of hatred towards the culprit who had stolen the lives of the one he loved and his beloved parents.
部屋にはチェーンがかかってた。さっき構造を見たが、とても外から細工できる代物じゃねえ。つまり、完璧な密室だったってことだ。そうなるね。バラ庭園の倉庫の時は、シャッターの鍵を使用人室からこっそりと持ち出したのだろうとか、あるいは複製の鍵を持っていた可能性とか、いくつか方法が想像できた。でもチェーンは違う。チェーンは一般に浸透した施錠方法の中で最もシンプルに密室を構築できる。
チェーンだけは物理的に破壊しない限り外からはどうにもならないぜ。じゃあつまり犯人は扉からは出入りしなかったってことなのか。
こりゃ面白いや。つい数時間ほど前にも扉以外でどうやって部屋から出入りしたのかってみんなで騒いだ気がするぜ。
Back then, we're all losing our cool, wondering how grandfather had disappeared from his room. Her seat Aunt Ava stuck in the door on a whim proved that the door had remained sealed. And since Aunt Natsui was the only person to enter or exit during that time, she was under suspicion. Aunt Ava proposed a theory about how Aunt Natsui might have thrown grandfather out the window, left by the door herself. But this door is much simpler, sealed from the inside by a door chain. The window had also been locked from the inside, and the bodies had been inside the room. This time it really had been, without exaggeration, a true closed room. Right, if you grandfather's disappearance, 3 cases have occurred, and all 3 times, the door had been the point of interest. First was the shutter. There was a key in the servant room, and if we assume someone knew about that, this can only be called a closed room. The next was the door sealed by the receipt. However, Natsui entered that room. So if grandfather had left through the window or had been thrown out, he would have been able to lock the window before escaping. Or like my theory, grandfather could have hidden until the receipt was gone and left the room later. Basically, this door can be defeated with a handful of desperate tricks. In that sense, you really can't call this one a closed room either. Now we have the door sealed with the door chain. Finally, we have to give up. Window, the door, everything had been locked. No signs of entry. It was a perfect closed room. First hadn't been a closed room because everyone could be suspected. Second hadn't been in a closed room because Natsui could be suspected. But this time, no one could be suspected. This is the perfect closed room because the door chain formed a seal that blocked everyone equally well.
なら、犯人は室内に入らずに犯行に及んだ。部屋の外から何らかの方法で。
確かにチェーンである以上、人が通れるほどは開けなくても多少の隙間を開けることができる。ノックして顔を覗かせたところを襲うとか。いや、甘いか。
甘いよな。エヴァおばさんの遺体が扉のすぐそばだったならそれも考えたぜ。だがエヴァおばさんは部屋の奥のベッドの上、しかも秀吉おじさんはバスルームだった。チェーンの隙間からでは姿を見ることもできねえし、手を伸ばすこともできねえ。ちくしょう、全然ダメだぜ。さっぱりだ。
He was tugging softly at my sleeve. Maria. God, here we go.
おお、満足？
満足って何がだよ。
Wait, hang on. I know this. He killed them
バト
to
ラ
prove
は
a
親
point.
族の誰かを疑うのが嫌だから、犯人はベアトリーチェであってほしいと願ったよ。
Yeah, she killed them in a way that no one could be suspected, so that he'll believe that there truly is a witch going around killing people.
だからベアトリーチェは叶えた。バトラが言った通り、絶対に人間には無理なことをして、バトラに魔女の存在を信じさせてくれた。なのにわがまま。
That Maria was laughing unpleasantly on the head with my fist. Stop doing that. It's creepy.
叶えてくれてありがとうよ。今のはその礼と、不謹慎な時に笑ったことへの教育的指導だ。それより教えやがれ。エヴァおばさんたちの部屋の扉にもまた怪しげな落書きがされていた。あれもまた魔法陣なのか。
あれは特に覚えやすい特徴的な形なんだから、あのくらい知っててほしいね。
知らねえから花を持たせてやってんだ。ごちゃごちゃ言わねえで解説しろい。
バトラは暴力的だね。あんまり意地悪すると教えないよ。言うよこのげんこつ男。あれは月の一の魔法陣だよ。
何の意味がある？その魔法陣のご利益は？書かれてるヘブライ語の意味は？
記されているのは旧約聖書詩編第107編の16節。主は聖堂の扉を破り、鉄の管抜きを打ち破ってくださいました。魔法陣の効用は2つ。1つは いかなる方法によって閉ざされた扉でも開くことができる。
そりゃ便利な魔法だぜ。つまり魔法の力に頼らなきゃ開けぬ密室の扉っていう魔女様のアピールってわけか。もう一つの効用は、
開かぬ扉を八方塞がりの事態に見立て扉を開く。難解な事態の時に用いることで、それまで思いつきもしなかった解決策を与えてくれるんだよ。平たく言うと、観察力や洞察力、ひらめきや直感を授けてくれるんだね。ベアトリーチェはバトラごとき人間風情に、この扉の開き方がわかるものかって挑発してるんだよ。
よーし、もう黙れご苦労。上等だぜ。その魔女の挑戦受けてやら。
マリアちゃん、この世に魔女も悪魔も存在しない。父さんと母さんは誰かが殺した。それが僕のよく知る人間なの
I'll
か
believe it. I'll
知
believe
ら
it
ない
now.
人間なのかはわからない。でもそのどちらであっても必ず人間なんだ。
しかしどうやって、せいぜい10センチ程度しか開かない扉の隙間からどうやったら室内の2人を。
それにしても耐え難い匂いです。一体何事なのですか？
Kenan and Kumasawa had gone on ahead, realized the smell wasn't coming from the kitchen even before they arrived there. Is there someone dead that we don't know? Well, it's because they noticed an even thicker wave of stench rising up from the stairs leading to the basement, which they passed on their way to the kitchen.
ボイラー室。またボイラーの調子が悪いんでしょうか。
Those stairs led to the underground boiler room. The mansion's boiler was old and in poor condition. Both of them had witnessed problems with the boiler on several occasions, but they never smelled the boiler belching out a stench like this.
今の音は。
The thing they heard from the basement was definitely the sound of a door closing. Masawa had phrased it as a question, but she already knew it couldn't be anything else. Masawa was so surprised at that sound that her knees gave way yet again and she cowered. After all, at that very moment, no one could have been in the boiler room. Just a few seconds ago, everyone had been crowded together around Ava and Hideyoshi's room. But who caused the sound of a door closing just now?
カノンさん。
After taking a second to sort out the situation, Kenan ran down towards the basement. Since they'd heard the sound of a door closing just now, then there was no anyone coming up the stairs. The person who closed the door had to be inside the boiler room now. Nowhere to go. If the boiler room had been dead end, Kenan wouldn't have rushed in so hastily. Kenan was a servant, so he knew. There was two entrances to the boiler room, one that opened to the mansion and one that opened to the courtyard. If he didn't chase them now, they might slip away. Kumasawa reached the same conclusion long after Kenan did. Couldn't let him go alone. The thing in the boiler room was the culprit. An opponent would easily killed 6 adults in the murder. But no matter how Kenan confronted them, he would be a match. Of course, with this argument, you joined in it wouldn't really change anything. At any rate, after a delay, Kumasawa decided that she mustn't let Kenan go alone, and she rushed down the stairs. At the time, Kenan was already in the boiler room. The boiler room's characteristic damp heat tormented him. It had always been an unpleasantly smelly and hot place. On top of that, the room was full of that horrible stench, which Kenan felt he was going to be sick. No doubt that this room was the source. There's bodies in there burning. Cannon should have been searching for where the smell was coming from. Cannon kept gazing straight forward as he grabbed a hatchet from himself just off to the side of the door. He hadn't stretched out his hand because he wanted a hatchet. He had wanted to grab a weapon, any weapon. Why? Cannon gazed into the darkness. The naked light bulb couldn't pierce. Then he answered.
数字と赤黒にかけて配当を競い合う。だが赤か黒かのようなリスクの低い賭けは
Bet on a number.
その程度の配当しか与えられない。
Words coming from Cannon's mouth were swallowed up by the darkness. The darkness suddenly started to swirl and glittering. Ooh. Such a fantastical scene. Golden sparkling butterflies that hid in the shadows all over the boiler room. Flapped their wings, twinkling beautifully, gathered in the darkness. Cannon continued speaking, directing his words at the darkness as he followed the butterfly. But as the butterflies gathered in the darkness, they, perhaps, probably, no, they would certainly laugh. Cannon continued to speak without faltering it.
逆により的中率の低いかけ方をすればそのリスクに比例した配当が与えられる。親方様は天文学的なリスクを的中できることを奇跡と呼び、その結果得られる天文学的な配当を魔法と呼んでいた。親方様とお前がどんな魔法を求めてルーレットに挑んでいるのか、そんなことには興味ない。しかしお前は忘れている。ルーレットには赤でも黒でもない目が出る。
Green pocket.
忘れている。
Roll it as a special pocket called Zero, which means the house takes everything in a certain phase of the game. Certain wheels are 0-0 too. Means that all of the coins bet on the table will be swept up, just as though everyone is forfeit. I think you can actually bet on that though.
一つだけ心に決めていた。
Maybe not everywhere.
もしシャノンが殺されて僕が生き残るようなことがあったなら、この身を投げ出してお前のルーレットを全て台無しにしてやろうと。これは親方様が決めたルールでも、ましてやお前が決めたルールでもない。このルールは僕が作った。僕はもう家具じゃない。お前のルーレットのゼロなんだ。
Cannon's face twisted with humiliation. Clear that his defiance against his own weakness was being ridiculed somehow. Cannon's brow creased even further, and a fierce expression that he'd never shown to anyone appeared on his face. Hand grasping the hatchet was shaking. Sweat became drops, slid downward. Clear that the emotion causing Cannon's hand to shake wasn't just anger. However, Cannon suppressed that emotion.
僕はもうお前の言葉に惑わされたりはしない。悪魔のルーレットはこれでおしまいだ。地獄にてさらに1000年。次の召喚者を待つがいい。ベアドリーチェ！
Cannon raised the hatchet and tried to dive into the darkness. The darkness definitely sneered at that courage as if it were vulgar, lazy, futile, and meaningless. Cannon, his hatchet still held aloft. Another step after. Playing, the hatchet had been grasping fell and rolled on the floor. Following that, with a pair of thuds, Cannon's knees hit. Left. Right. That hand, which looked like it was trying to catch the sky now that the hatch had been dropped, gradually lowered, landing on his chest. Then the other hand dead. Right there, a handle with a demon-shaped design was buried into his chest. Same type of weapon that had been stabbed into Ava and Hideyoshi's foreheads. Wasn't a kid. Cannon was curled up in anguish, fresh blood dribbling down from the corner of his mouth. It was makeup too extreme for Cannon's white skin. Around this scene, the glittering gold butterflies danced through the darkness, mesmerized. It was a beautiful, beautiful dance, a funeral march of tribute, ridicule, and contempt for a single boy's sacrifice. Self-sacrifice. Ken had already been prepared for his own death. Although he could do nothing but accept the death that he received, he attempted one last measure of resistance. He grasped the handle of the weapon, sticking into his chest with both hands. Gritting his teeth with an acute, unearthly pain, pulled it out. Only a moment, a bright red sprite gushed out. Made an unpleasant bloop sound. Probably resembled the sound of Cannon's soul as it was sucked in.
Canon-san? 誰か
Rosawa screamed at the incomprehensible sight in front. And it was lying in a blood. Rosawa's heart was a complete mess. Oh, what a horrible fate. Wouldn't have been killed if I'd been with him. Oh, what incredible luck. If I had been with him, I might have been killed too. As she screamed, her expression was filled with complete confusion and all of the muscles were up. Almost as though she was smiling. Well, no one could have made fun of an expression like this. First one to dash was Natsui, holding the rifle. Battler and Genji dashed in after her. Normally they probably would have started discussing the origin of that violent stench filling the boiler room. But after they saw Cannon, who was lying on the ground as if he were drowning in an ocean of blood, that stench really wasn't important anymore.
Kado! Henji o shinasai! Genji, Nanjo-sensei o koko ni!
And Natsui realized that even though Cannon was on the verge of death, he was still conscious, so she sent Genji to get the doctor. Natsui, holding the rifle aloft, faced the darkness in the center of the boiler room and shouted.
そこに隠れているものは何者です。おとなしく出てきなさい。そちらから出てこないなら容赦なく撃ちます。
ライトだ。おばさん、照らすぜ。
Battler, thinking quickly, took a large flashlight from the shelf alongside the door and used the light to cut through the darkness Natsui was glaring into. But the light only shone a mechanical-looking piping in the door. The door had been left open a small crack, and it was obvious that someone had left there in a hurry.
夏代おばさん、あの扉はどこへ？
源氏、あの扉はどこに通じているのですか？
中庭です。
逃がすかよ。くそ、この野郎
Battler let out a war cry as he slammed into the door. The boy from the outside suddenly rushed in. There were some thin, rough stairs leading up. Battler ran up them, shouting. Natsui was also rushing up the stairs, chasing after Battler. They were in the courtyard. courtyard of the mansion had been built strictly for lighting purposes, so it wasn't a very elegant place. Because it was surrounded on all sides, the air was calm and completely undisturbed, even though they could hear the sound of strong wind. There was only the gentle, sorrowful or as he ran through the cold and scattered raindrops, dashing up the stairs into the courtyard, Louder looked in every direction. Of course, the odds of him finding a suspicious silhouette just standing around nonchalantly were pretty much zero. Battler spun, looking all around. Turned again and again, and kept spinning until he almost lost his sense of direction. Afraid that he would see the culprit somewhere in the scenery. But there was no chance. All he saw as he spun around was more and more of the mansion's heartless walls and mirrors. Windows, nothing. Furthermore, there were 2 entrances into the mansion from the courtyard. Neither of them were locked. Because the courtyard couldn't be entered from the outside the mansion, the doors had been built without locks. He didn't know which one they had left through. He had to give up. Louder pounded the wall with his fists, swearing.
バトラ君、一人で先走ってはダメです。バトラ君。
Louder pressed his forehead against the wall, where she scratched at with his fingernails as he cried.
畜生畜生畜生平和おばさんに秀吉おじさん、さらにカノン君かよ。6人も殺しやがった。飽き足らずさらに3人も殺しやがった。ふざけるなふざけるな。エヴァおばさんも秀吉おじさんも昔からいつも優しくしてくれる愉快なおばさんたちだったじゃねえかよ。カノン君とは昨日会ったばかりだが、きっとこれから仲良くなれたと思うぜ。なんで殺したんだ。どうして人ってのはな、殺しちまったらな、二度と生き返らねえんだぞ。タケノコみてえにひょいひょい生えてきちゃ来ねえんだぞ。どうして殺すんだよ。どうして
Louder was a boy who could understand the feelings of pain and regret in a person. So he cried with all of his strength. That's the way he had always thought of Battler as a frank person. I was a little surprised to find he had this delicate side. At the same time, she understood how easily hurt the heart of a young person could be, so she held him.
大丈夫です。あなたも、ジョージ君も、マリアちゃんも、ジェシカも。私が絶対に守ります。母として。そして、後ろ宮家の代表として。
Louder, after sobbing into Natsui's chest for a while, wiped his tears with a bitter smile, as though he had been like that the whole time, and tried to appear as though he cried more than enough already.
とにかく一度下に戻りましょう。犯人を探すより自分たちの身を守る方が最優先です。明日になれば船が来る。そうすれば警察がやってきて、全てを白日のもとにさらし出してくれるでしょう。犯人がどうあがこうとも、この島から逃げられるものですか。
そうっすね。警察さえ来れば。
Seagulls cry, the crime will be solved. But for some reason, Battler felt a slight sense of uneasiness, as if the seagulls would never cry again. That couldn't be true. The typhoon passes, surely the lively seagulls will return to the harbor again. What a hell of a... Cannon's dead, that sucks. 9 people are dead now, that is absolutely crazy. And I think that's where we're going to end it for the week. I will see you all on Monday. Debating on making this a daily thing. This is going to take a long time to get through. I just do 3 days a week. So I might make this into a daily thing, or I might start streaming it on Twitch and just uploading the VODs longer. I don't know, 3-4 hours of VOD maybe. Be up with that like twice a week. So that's another option. But yeah, so with that said, you all have a good weekend. As always, take care. Bye bye.